Art Spiegelman paints an incredibly brave and personal tale with 1992's Pulitzer Prize-winning Mouse. This graphic novel follows the author as he interviews his father, Vladek, a Polish Jew and Holocaust survivor, about his experiences leading up to and throughout the Second World War. Both the story of these interviews and the events from Vladek's past are told congruently. The clever meta-narrative effectively brings the past into the present in a way that young readers may not have seen before. Mouse keeps you gripped from start to finish, whether that be on the front lines of World War II or in an old man's stuffy living room. Mouse is probably best known for its visual gimmick in the sense that every race is represented by an animal. There are no human characters. Jews are drawn as mice, Germans as cats, and the Polish as pigs. You would initially think that this sort of representation of race would be considered offensive, or overly simplistic at least, but the novel is quick to demonstrate its fully realized grasp on race relations and identity. This visual metaphor is constantly under scrutiny by Spiegelman himself as he struggles with how to portray certain characters within the story who may not fit so easily into his chosen metaphor. This struggle plays perfectly into the broader themes of identity, guilt, and racism present in Mouse. Everything depicted or not depicted within the book has been perfectly realized and works towards creating a story that harmonizes the use of art and written word to delve into difficult themes with ease. Using Mouse within a social studies classroom will open students up to conversations about history, power, dynamic relationships, authority, privilege, and trauma, which are all conversations that have a place within the curriculum. Something that this novel could very effectively illustrate to a middle years class is the definition and dynamics of intergenerational trauma. Spiegelman's life has played out completely engulfed in the shadow of his parents' past trauma, shaping his life sometimes for the better, but most often for the worse. This is a subject that is often broached within studies of residential schooling in Canada. Providing students with a concrete example of what intergenerational trauma looks like could possibly make them more sympathetic to the plight of Canadian Indigenous peoples today and throughout history. His novel could also link to arts education, English, and health. I would not hesitate to use Mouse in a middle years classroom. For grades that young, however, I would recommend the reading of this novel be guided through group reading or discussion that can break up the occasionally dense storytelling, complex themes, and mild adult content that is present in the book. I would not recommend you send students away to read this book on their own, as there are plenty of subjects present in this novel that could easily be misunderstood. Not only will students gain a versatile, transferable wealth of social studies-based knowledge, but I believe they will thoroughly enjoy their experience with this brilliant triumph of literary and visual storytelling. I first read this graphic novel when I was 10 years old and have tried to reread it about once a year ever since. I hope that, by bringing this sort of story into the classroom, students will feel comfortable exploring social issues and will start to see the value in hearing diverse stories and, in turn, telling their own.